I have been an artist for about 20 years. I did a degree in applied arts where I learned a lot about different processes and different materials, ceramics, metalwork, drawing. Very quickly during that course, I became interested in ways that I could use raw materials and simply use my hands without any other machinery, complicated equipment. I grew up in Derbyshire in England, and I've always lived either in or near to the countryside. When I was a little girl, my parents had a fruit farm, and I used to build a lot of dens and tree houses in the woods, and I used to feel that that was the most creative time of my life. Became a little older, I was still very keen to build similar structures, and I feel very lucky that I found a material, a natural material, I can create structures with and use my hands and build forms directly in a site. I've always enjoyed being outdoors, and quickly my artwork became inspired by the natural world and bird life, insects, fungi, and I developed my own aesthetic really in response to that. In autumn 2021, I was invited to visit Maubuisson, and I was enthralled to see the different spaces. I was immediately inspired and filled a sketchbook with ideas for the different spaces. The salle de religieuse was the place where I made my first design. I was very interested that the nuns working in that room spent days using their hands and actually making, and also doing their work in silence. And for me as an artist, I have a feeling myself that when I am working in a place, wherever it is, using your hands and making work in a place, that it is as if you leave a piece of yourself in that place. And I feel that the women who worked in that room are somehow still there, and that I also will somehow remain there a little. Probably just in my mind. My work is quite repetitive. It's very engaging for me, and I feel very rooted, very at home in a place as soon as I start to make and to use my hands. So the piece of work in that particular space is called The Feeling Remains, and it's to reflect that sensation of working and concentration and the joy of using your hands. That feeling somehow remains there. In contrast, there's a space called the salle de parloir, and this is a room in which the nuns could talk. And for me, creatively, I wanted to reflect that freedom to form links with other people. And that piece of work is called Breathe, to reflect that feeling of a pleasurable exhale of your thoughts and who you are. The work in the salle de parloir is also very repetitive. It uses willow which is white because it's had its bark stripped off. And it's made by curling the willow and knotting it very repetitively. I am hoping that the forms also have a feeling a little bit like a lung, so the forms may feel as if they are breathing on their own. So there's lots of threads and connections and network within the work itself. It's a very interesting space in the building, which was the latrines. Very interesting for me because water flows underneath the floor, and as a visitor you can see that. There is a glass floor and you can see the water. Water for me is very important for my work because the willow soaks in water. It has to soak for a couple of weeks. Also, the willow has thrived in water. It has grown in areas where there is a lot of water in the ground. So the water has fed the work. Also, the stonework on the walls has a lot of repetitive marks in the stone. I was very interested in those. They're very tactile. And so the drawings have, I hope, they have a sense of flow. They will feel a little bit like the momentum and the movement within the willow work, but also they are obviously completely made with the hand, and it also reflects the repetition of the daily life of the nuns in the space. So the lines are made out of willow charcoal. It's stems of willow which have been burnt in a way that it produces the charcoal. I hope that the drawings feel alive. They're not framed. They are raw on the wall. They're not mounted behind glass. They are cut out in curvaceous outlines. And they're made for particular parts of the walls, so they're designed to move in and around the window spaces in a similar way to the sculptures.